British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good morning, my name is Joe McHugh, and here are your 10 a.m. BCIT News headlines. According to the Vancouver Police Department, the BC Prosecution Service has approved one charge against the suspect in a series of stranger assaults last week. Police said earlier that 3 stabbing victims were initially located and taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries after the attack near David Lamb Park in Yaletown on Friday morning. They say 4 additional assault victims were later identified, including one person who was stabbed. Officers made an arrest on Sunday after receiving information from the public that led to her identification. They say a 35-year-old woman has been charged with 1 count of assault. They say their investigation is ongoing and the woman remains in custody at this time. And now let's check in with our producer Clara for a look at what stories our reporters are chasing today.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Our reporter Bahar Garian is going to talk about Parks Board abolishment. Reporter Braden Goodman is covering the opening of football camps across the Lower Mainland. And additionally, reporter Kai Garcia will be joining us on the studio at 11:30 to talk about Cyber Awareness Month.
And what do we have coming up on For the Record later?
In today's For the Record, we have Caleb Templeton, who is covering the Latin Heritage Month in Vancouver. Back to you, Joe.
Thanks, Clara. Now, this month marks the 30th anniversary of the 1995 referendum that almost saw Quebec vote to separate from Canada. Then Prime Minister Jean Chrétien mostly stayed on the sidelines of the campaign until the very end, when separatist forces seemed likely to win the vote. Then Deputy Prime Minister Sheila Copps says Chrétien was deemed to be unpopular in Quebec, and the provincial Liberals running the Federalist campaign didn't want much involvement from Ottawa.
The bottom line was he did not enter into Quebec because he was told by the No campaign, you're not wanted. And they came close to losing it, and had he not stepped in, I think we would have lost the country.
Chrétien gave a televised address to the nation the day after the vote, which was followed by the Unity Rally that drew tens of thousands of people from across Canada to Montreal. The No campaign won the October 30th referendum with less than 51% of the vote. AP correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports Germany plans to send more than $2 billion in military aid to Kiev amid concerns about dwindling Western support.
Germany's pledged more than $2 billion worth in military aid for Ukraine, as the government in Kyiv signals it would need $120 billion in 2026 to stave off Russia's nearly 4-year all-out war. First off, Berlin would buy $500 million worth of US weapons under a new program to fast-track military equipment. Estonia, Finland, Lithuania and Sweden say that they would also participate in this funding initiative. Pistorius adds Germany would separately provide another 2 Iris-T air defence systems, including a large number of guided missiles, as well as shoulder-fired air defence missiles. Anti-tank weapons, communication devices and handheld weapons would also be in the package. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
On to Gaza now. U.S. President Donald Trump celebrated peace plan in Gaza is under stress over the slow handover of deceased hostages. Reporter Stephanie Ramos has more.
Israel is accusing Hamas of violating the Gaza ceasefire by moving too slowly to release the remains of deceased hostages. Only 8 of the 28 bodies have been released. Israel is now threatening to reduce aid flowing into Gaza by half. Hamas has said it would be challenging to recover the remains because of the destruction in Gaza. The UN says it could cost $70 billion to rebuild the territory.
Now, in the meantime, the Israeli military said today that one of the 4 bodies handed over by Hamas yesterday is not that of one of the hostages who was held in Gaza. Taking a look at your stocks for the day, U.S. stocks rose amid hopes for interest rate cuts, with more Wall Street banks posting strong results and a promising start to earnings season. The Dow Jones Industrial Average moved up roughly 0.4% following a rocky session on Tuesday. Meanwhile, the S&P 500 and the tech-heavy NASDAQ composite added about 0.7% and 1% respectively. For a look at your weather, the sunshine is expected to stick around for the rest of the day today with a high of 13 degrees. Tomorrow you can expect to see a similar amount of sunshine with a high of 14, though you're also going to see a bit of cloud cover creeping in. Moving on to Saturday, rain is back on the menu, and it's going to be a little bit chilly. Those were your 10 a.m. BCIT News headlines. Join us again with Riley Cunningham at 10:30 for more. Joe McHugh, BCIT News.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
I knew a bit about Lightroom and Photoshop before coming into the program, but I didn't really know much about Premiere, and that kind of scared me. And so BCIT has really helped to kind of grow my skills in video editing, which is something I didn't really think I could do before and actually really enjoy now. It also taught me how to use the big cameras, so I can use more than just a DSLR now, which is very helpful as well.